I understand nostalgia for the things of the past, especially these days when so much shit sucks. But Backstreet Boys and Sync, keep that shit in the past. All right, so now I'm in a good, entertaining mood. In a mood to entertain you and entertain myself as well. So, going more on this subject of nostalgia. And nostalgia to a fault where we, have nostalgia for shit that's whack. Look, I get it. I totally get it. I've had to, even myself, like, I've had to let go of a lot of shit, or actually I outgrew a lot of shit. But what I see in our culture today is a lot of people, and it's through the programming, through the conditioning, and through the commercialization of everything, that they want you to think that something was culturally relevant or impactful, but really what it was just great marketing that they just shoved down your throat and imprinted on your psyche. And then when you think about it on that level, if you could take a step outside of it and really think about advertising and marketing, and that the purpose of such campaigns is to really take up space in your brain, right? Is they want to own space in your brain. So keep that in mind here. And then let's really begin to explore, like, if shit is weak and it's weak and that, as an adult that shit was whack, why do you want to try to cape for it still? These days I don't listen to Jay-Z. I will turn that shit off probably like 90% of the time. Same with Snoop Dogg. I'll probably turn him off like 50% of the time, because he actually, I feel like, is a part of a lot more, he's created more classic material. I think that that's been pretty like raw, but new shit is pretty whack. Dr. Dre, I'll turn his shit off like the same amount of times as Snoop. I even fucking turned off the fucking Ain't Nothing But a G Thing Baby the other day, because it's just like, whatever, bruh. I already heard this shit a million times since I was a little kid, and yes, it's been great, but played out is played out. And then when you do sell out shit, especially as you get older, motherfuckers as grandfathers and they're doing sellout shit, then the real shit loses its steam. So I'm just giving a couple of examples there of for myself, so that that I'm not acting like I'm better than anybody, because at one point I did have I was a fan. You can maybe even still say today I'm a fan enough to talk shit about it, but I'm not a fan boy. I'm not a groupie, and I'm not brainwashed. I'm not gonna cape for any of these celebrities, or whatever, or rich people, or superstars, or really for anybody. I don't care who you are, unless you're, like fucking bonded to me in real life, then that's different. But otherwise, I'm not caping for nobody. But a lot of people cape really hard for these celebrities, and it's like, why do you cape so hard for somebody that you don't know? And I don't think a lot of people even realize why they cape so hard, but I am suggesting that it is through the programming, through the conditioning, through the advertising that got so in people's psyches that, it rewired people's like emotional bodies, where they're going to get triggered. It's something that they completely invested their entire spirit, their whole selves into, their bank accounts, their time into believing and following something was inauthentic, or fake. And that, I think people have a hard time like trying to get over. But I have a simple solution. The simple solution is this: it's a practice, it's just an idea, you know. Yeah, I get it. It can be a little heart, it can be heartbreaking. Maybe it can even be heartbreaking to a point, you know, to find out or to observe or maybe witness that your, you know, hero, celebrity, whoever it is a super duper sellout, or that maybe their music was not as great as you thought it was, you know, you grew out of it or whatever. You got to look at it like this: when you're like a kid, it's like getting your first kiss, you know, or like having like a girlfriend, you know, when you're like 14 or something. Do you still, like, was she the greatest girlfriend now that you're an adult? You know, your life is incomplete without her. You have to think about her every day, you know? So it's kid shit. You got to let go of it. It's kid shit. It's not a big deal. So, you know, you'll be okay. You'll just keep growing and you'll mature and you'll find other things that you like. You'll find new things that you like. You know, you'll find new things, or maybe you'll find, you know, new music or new, you know, genres. You know, you'll discover other things, and that actually is cooler. But yeah, you know, even thinking about shit being kid shit. So you think about how a lot of this stuff, and you know, I'm like MTV generation. You know, I'm like the MTV generation. You know, and they got my generation hooked on a lot of shit. You know, like, and then you think about how they can have a song or something, you know, that was impactful in the moment, but did they create that moment? Was the moment cultural? Was it really a cultural moment, or was it something that was created, you know, through the industry, through marketing, through advertising? You know, was it something that the people, like, you know, actually held on to, or was the industry held on to it to keep making money? So how many times can you hear a fucking song for 20, 30 years, you know, and it still be sick, or it still like take you back to that place or whatever? Or was it really? Some stuff is, you know, I have nostalgia, you know, I like the shit that I like, but it's still something to think about. It's still something to think about so that you can see your place in the role as the consumer, or as the fan, or as the listener, you know. That way you can think responsibly. You can, you know, consume your art and your music and your movies responsibly too, as well. And then thinking about, like, you know, if you look at these certain, you know, the way this shit moves, you know, it moves in on the kids, right? So if you look at it, like I've heard this said, right? I've heard this said that like, you know, I think every generation kind of goes through this, at least, you know, in the last however many, you know, couple decades. You know, we're talking about the history of America and media and mainstream media becoming a thing where commercial music and commercial movies were produced. Then they say that every generation, all the teenagers from that generation continue to listen to the music that was, you know, popular when they were kids, and think that that's the best, right? And maybe, you know, maybe it was, right? Was it the best? Maybe it was. Did the music get worse over time? Maybe it didn't. Or was it that there's something about the young mind, right? There's something about young people's minds, young people's brains, young people's emotional bodies that, you know, if they're advertised to, if they're targeted, how about, let's put it like this, if they're targeted and campaigned against to become lifelong fans of something, then they will. So is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't know. But I guess when we're thinking about young people and the power of young people's minds and the future that they're creating and stuff, you know, it's like, I guess I want to impress that maybe like it would be fresher and cooler to not have that influence. You know, basically it's like attacking the psyche. It's attacking the psyche. It's kind of like crossing the line into their development. You know what I'm saying? So that's one part of it, right? But then if you look at it a little bit deeper and you look at some of the trends that are associated with advertising, with putting music out to kids, and then you hear these stories, and it's all starting to come out now, and you hear, you know, what the intention is. You know, they don't give a fuck to cannibalize the kids, to sexualize the kids, and to use them. So it's all using of young people. And so it's like, as we grow up and we're adults, right? You know, you look at it like this, like, oh, okay, it was kid shit. So that shit that I was into when I was a kid, that was some kid shit, right? Okay, but when you see that same predator go after the next line of kids, is it kid shit for them? So yeah, man, you know, I'm just over here just thinking out loud and whatnot. Free thoughts. See what I'm saying? Look at this shit right here. Unprogrammed, deprogrammed. We all got to do the deprogramming. If you're born in America, if you're really born in this world, period. If you're born in this world, if you've made it to a certain age in your life, if you've been so blessed, and if you're seeing this message, then know that, you know, you have the responsibility to look at where the programming has been in your life, you know, because even if you think you're insignificant or whatever it is, why would they want to program you? Because they make money off of you. That's why. How about that? How about just that part right there? And what would it be like to be not programmed? So my phone had started to heat up, but this is the point that I wanted to make. When you think about deprogramming, what the benefits are, I don't think anybody wants to be brainwashed. I don't think anybody wants to consciously be brainwashed or, you know, have something foreign affecting or influencing their inner world. You know, that's one, right? But really the main thing is that when you deprogram and you do the deprogramming work, you begin to regain your creative mind, your original thoughts, and you get to learn how your brain really works, how your own brain really works. Because this is the thing, most people on the planet, especially here in America, in first world countries, are not using their original creative thinking. They're programmed, so they're running programs. Their brain is going one linear way. But let's say that the programming is not there, then you get a lot more nuance of thinking. Then you get a lot more nuance of expression, of opinion. And I would suggest that would all lead to better results collectively. So when you're looking at the world and what's going on right now in society, it's mass brainwashing. If you don't you know, if you're wondering, like, damn, like, how did this all get like this? Why is it that people are fucked? Not naturally. People are not naturally fucked, but you can brainwash people. You can train people. You can condition them. You can mislead them. And there's an interest in doing that. Just the same way, if I'm a farmer and my crop is the cow, and you know, then I have an interest in understanding how that cow works. It's biology, all of the things, and how its brain works, and how to basically keep it in check. So understand that these people at the top, they know that shit. And isn't that fun? Wasn't that a fun ride, guys? How I started out with this thought of the Backstreet Boys. It's because I was doing groceries and they started playing that stupid shit. And I can't stand it. It annoys me. And then I just took you guys on this wild ride of free thought